But first, to an explosive story that has rocked Labor in the lead up to the federal election. It's one that many senior Labor figures, and dare I say a few so-called progressive journalists, wish would disappear.
There are claims the late Labor Senator Kimberley Kitching was bullied and ostracised by senior female colleagues. Labor leader Anthony Albanese has ruled out launching an investigation.
Senator Kitching was just 52 when she died of a suspected heart attack last week. Former Labor leader Bill Shorten says she'd been under great stress in the months before her sudden death. Friends also claim she'd felt isolated and ostracised by the party's Senate leadership team, made up of Ms Wong, Kristina Keneally and Katy Gallagher, a group they say she referred to as the Mean Girls.
Credit belongs to the Australian Shari Markson, who this week revealed serious allegations of bullying committed by senior Labor women against Kitching. Now, it has to be said that Senators Wong, Gallagher and Keneally have denied any wrongdoing in a joint statement. Given the hurtful statements that continue to be made, we feel it necessary to respond. The allegations of bullying are untrue. Other assertions which have been made are similarly inaccurate. Fair enough, and they do deserve objectivity from the media when we look at allegations which are being strongly denied. However, given just how serious the allegations are and how critical Labor has been on the coalition for cultural issues, I am absolutely stunned that the man who wants to run this country responded to the media like this.
I find it astonishing that in 2022 I get a question using the term mean girls. I find that extraordinarily disrespectful to describe strong, articulate, principled women like Ms Wong, Katy Gallagher and Kristina Keneally. I find it astonishing and a throwback, decades.
So it is the media that's at fault here. Are you serious? Labor, and many in the media, have been flinging mud with venom at the coalition for a very long time now, and the moment the spotlight turns on Labor, it is suddenly the media that's out of line. But the thing that's even more disturbing about Albo's comments is that the term mean girls was used by Kitching herself to describe how she felt being bullied and ostracised from the party she loved. It wasn't the media that coined the words. They are the words of a dead woman who can no longer defend herself.
The Labor leader yesterday slapped back at journalists, quoting the term Senator Kitching used to describe those she claimed had bullied, ostracised and isolated her. The Senate leadership team of Ms Wong, Kristina Keneally and Katy Gallagher. The ABC can reveal Senator Kitching told a councillor last November she had been bullied by senior Senate colleagues. Senator Kitching's concerns about bullying go back years. In 2019, the ABC reported a meeting in which Senator Kitching counselled against the ALP supporting a Greens motion endorsing civil disobedience at climate protests. A senior member of the left shot back at her. Well, if you had children, you might understand why there is a climate emergency. That was from Ms Wong.
You heard that right. Because Kitching wasn't a member of the apocalyptic climate cult within Labor, she was allegedly shamed for her inability to have children. Why would she care about the planet if her genetic line was destined to end? Lovely and progressive people, aren't they? Imagine how much contempt you would have to have for a colleague's viewpoint to make a comment like that. And given what we have read about Kitching's treatment by these women, it makes these denials and condolences look hollow.
There have been some accusations that yourself and some of your Labor Senator colleagues were mean girls, mistreated or even bullied the late Senator Kimberley Kitching. What was your relationship with her and what's your response to that?
Senator Kitching has passed away. That was tragic and shocking, and many in the Labor family are grieving and her loved ones are grieving. So I'm simply not going to engage in commentary about some of the allegations which have been raised, even if I and others disagree.
Some of the assertions that have been made are not true. While the assertions that are being put don't tell a full story.
It also raises an important question about how the media covers these issues. Labor has been getting a free ride in the media, attacking the coalition on women's issues for 12 months, and journalists have rarely put the torch back on Labor.
This lack of avoidance of accountability and the tricky political management means that Mr Morrison really is hamstrung from tackling the fundamental issue here, which is the deeply harmful culture around the treatment of women in this place and beyond.
Women need a Prime Minister who listens, who cares, who acts. A Prime Minister who treats them with respect, not one who just serves up BS.
We need to ensure is that women are safe in their workplace, and if they can't be safe in Parliament House, there is a legitimate question to ask: what needs to change?
We need to listen to women and to listen to their concerns, to listen to the experience that they've gone through, and to listen to their views about solutions.
Unfortunately for Labor, the pendulum appears to be swinging back the other way. Here is Nine's very progressive London-based journalist Letiga Burke accusing Anthony Albanese of silencing a woman in her death. The ABC has equally been thorough in covering this issue and following Shari Markson's work, as it should. But there are always some journalists so consumed by their ideological leanings that they refuse to look at this issue objectively. Think back to November 2018 when Liberal Julia Banks left the party to sit on the crossbench, claiming she was the victim of bullying by coalition figures. This is what The Guardian's political editor Catherine Murphy had to say at the time.
Instead of it, to Laura's point about managing, it's what they really needed to do, given Liberal women, Julia Banks, Linda Reynolds, people not prone to hissy fits, smelling salts, overreactions, being girls, annoyingly, all said, guys, we have a problem. We have a problem. Now, what was required when a problem is identified like that is those women be listened to.
Now compare that with what Murphy told the ABC's Patricia Karvelis just yesterday concerning Kitching's allegations.
What's at the heart of it? Well, there were obviously conflicts between Kitching and Labor's Senate team. I don't think that information is particularly new or revelatory. All I would say is there's generally two sides to every story, and I think for the sake of the dignity that I referred to a moment ago, it really is best to leave it there.
The Guardian pretends to be a champion for women, but now it waters down serious accusations of abuse and bullying as nothing particularly new. How pathetic and transparent. Joining me to break down what has been a big week, media writer at The Australian, Sophie Ellsworth, and author and broadcaster, Kel Richards. Kel, let's start with you. What have you made of the way that the media has covered this issue? And do you think that they are going to continue putting this torch on Labor?
Well, it's been really interesting to watch the left-wing media struggle with this. They don't want to deal with it. They can't quite ignore it because it's so big. There's a piece by Michelle Grattan, and she says in the middle of it, oh, well, the kitchen business will blow over. That's what they're hoping,
wow.
Right? Now, that's an amazing attitude to take to what is obviously a really serious issue. I just think we're not going to see the coverage continue. I mean, you talked about how different this is from the way they covered Julia Banks, for example. It's not going to continue because they've got an ideological agenda. They are close to an election. In May, they want Albanese to become the Prime Minister of Australia. That's the agenda. If something happened to Kimberley Kitching, which was horrible and which was awful, if that happened, they don't want to know about it. That's got to go away. Otherwise, they won't get Albo up as Prime Minister of Australia. There's an agenda that is running. It's not reporting. It is running an agenda. And I worry about what's going to happen to this issue and how silent it will become in the left-wing media.
And Sophie, look, it's a good point, isn't it? It's quite transparent what they're doing, and I'm sure they want it to blow over. I'm sure these columnists writing for The Guardian are optimistic that it will. But do you see this issue blowing over in the media?
Well, firstly, Jack, I'd like to pay my condolences to Kimberley Kitching's family, her husband Andrew. Very sad news. She was a great senator, and it spoke volumes of who spoke out with glowing words of her when she did pass from all sides of the political spectrum. But what has transpired following her passing has been nothing short of shameful from the media. The leftist media want this story buried. They do not want to talk about it because it's making Labor look really bad. It doesn't fit in with their ideological agendas, should I say, and it's going against everything they champion for. They want Albanese to win the election. They want him in the Prime Minister's chair, and they will do everything to make this story go away. But Sharri Markson from The Australian has led the way on this story. She's had revelations day in, day out on this. And I will note, Jack, that Labor MP down here, former Labor MP Michael Danby, who is a good friend of Ms Kitching, spoke out on 3AW yesterday with Neil Mitchell and said that Nine and ABC's coverage of this has been inconsistent with allegations across the other side of the political fence when it's happening in the coalition. They're not consistent, and it's shameful from the media, and I think it's showing them up for what they really are.
Well said, well said.